This is the QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, and I am Andy Kema. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. In its revenue mobilization drive, the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority has revealed that the GRA has collected more than $5.2 billion in the first quarter of 2024. A validation of the draft curriculum for a doctorate of pharmacy program for the University of Gambia was held on Thursday by the Directorate of the National Pharmaceutical Services. The Gambia Utilities Regulatory Authority Bureau, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, on Thursday held a forum to develop a regulatory framework on sewage transportation in the Gambia. In international news, having sworn in their youngest ever president 2 days ago, Senegal on Thursday marks the 64th independence anniversary in a style that has been described as subdued. In sports news, the Gambia amputee national football team are in camp at the Independence Stadium ahead of the African Amputee Football Cup of Nations in Cairo, Egypt later this month. Those were the headlines, and now a look at the stories in detail. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV Nightly News. In its revenue mobilization drive, the Gambia Revenue Authority has recorded more than $5.2 billion in the first quarter of this year. This comes amidst digital reforms in its tax administration system, which has helped broaden the tax base of the country to support national development. Mahmoud Lamin Choi reports.
Revenue mobilization is critical to the socio-economic prosperity of countries, especially developing economies like the Gambia. This is what the Gambia Revenue Authority is tasked to do by collecting tax from people, goods and services. Annually, government sets revenue target for GRA, pushing for optimal tax collection to fund public services. Yankuba Dabo is the Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority.
You are all aware that GRA has been given a very difficult task, and that is to mobilize or collect 19.2 billion for the year. Of course, this was a very big tax for us, but we believe that we can do it, and we've taken up the responsibility.
Increasing revenue collection will require innovative reforms and strategies in tax administration to broaden the tax base of the country.
In addition, we also brought at the port a container detectors system, where at the terminal we have 2 poles there, and trucks that are loaded, containers that are loaded come into the terminal, they pass through, and the detector will detect the container numbers and send it to our server, so that every vessel, the number of containers that you discharge, we know by the time the vessel finishes discharging. Gone are days where people go and stand at the terminal and start counting containers. We are not increasing any rate. We are not charging anybody extra. We are only broadening the tax base and also bring into the tax bracket those that are not there. This is what we are doing. We collected over 2 billion, not because we have increased tax anywhere, but we only broadening the tax base and increase the efficiency level of our work.
By deploying several digital technologies in its operations, GRA has seen more efficiency in its functions. A manifestation of this is annual increase in revenue collections, which sometimes exceed government's target. The amount of revenue collected in the first quarter of this year gives us an insight into the outcome of the broadening tax base of the country.
And from January, end January, we are able to collect over 1.7 billion. And end February, we were able to collect, February being a short month, over 1.4 billion. Now, the bigger amount of collection, the highest collection ever in the history of GRA comes at the end of March, where we were able to collect over $2 billion. This is the biggest collection so far in the history of GRA. And we think that this is something that we cannot put under the carpet. we have to share this information with you.
In a post shared by the Ministry of Information, the Gambia government reports that between 2016 and 2023, revenue collected from domestic sources surged by 134%, skyrocketing from $7.6 billion to $17.8 billion. This marks an annual growth rate of 19% of revenue collection. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
A validation of the draft curriculum for a doctorate of pharmacy program for the University of the Gambia was held on Thursday by the Directorate of the National Pharmaceutical Services of the Ministry of Health. Loli M. Kamara tells us more.
The curriculum will be reviewed and approved by a team of experts, ensuring that it meets international standards and prepares students for a successful career in the field of pharmacy. The process, which is funded by the World Bank, involves key stakeholders including representatives from the Ministry of Health, the University of the Gambia, the Medicines Control Agency, the National Assembly Select Committee on Health, and other partners. Organizers say the program will provide students with the knowledge and skills to become licensed pharmacists to be able to contribute to the improvement of the Gambia's healthcare delivery. Dr. Babandin Sabali, the Deputy Permanent Secretary Technical at the Ministry of Health, states that the document was carefully scrutinized to ensure it aligns with the needs of the country. Dr. Sabali also recognized the immense contribution of their partners towards the formulation of the draft document.
Pharmacy to population ratio is less than 0.02% or index. This is not acceptable. I must hasten to say that the consultants at the PSA are very competent in their work and they have vast experience in curriculum development. This is not the first time they've been doing this. They've done it in other countries. And we can be assured that the document before us will stand the test of time and they will address the need of our country. The most important thing is the type of pharmacists that we want in this country. What type of pharmacists we want. And that competency assessment was done. Which means to say that whatever document we are going to review will be streamlined against what we need in this country.
Jibumbalo, National Assembly Select Committee on Health, reiterated government's commitment and readiness to improve the quality of pharmaceutical education and services in the country, eventually leading to better health care for its citizens.
Who have contributed, because we never thought that this is going to happen. We thought they have failed in their responsibility because this is a profession that we expect them to lead. And now they demonstrate very well that they are up to the task and the result is showing suit. So we are really happy and I thank all of you for your commitment. Be rest assured that the President is working and he is well informed. The government is going to give it utmost support to make sure that this activity is implemented.
Minimum admission requirements for O-level applicants will include a pass in English, mathematics, chemistry, physics, and biology at credit level in the West African School Certificate Examination or its equivalent as recognized by the University of the Gambia. Direct entry applicants must have obtained a diploma in pharmacy technician from a recognized institution with at least 2 years of work experience. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
The Gambia Utilities Regulatory Authority, PURA, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, held a meeting on Thursday with key stakeholders to develop a regulatory framework on sewage transportation in the Gambia aimed at effectively managing fecal sludge. Aliu Cisse tells us more.
Fecal sludge management, which refers to the storage, collection, transport, treatment, and safe in use or disposal of fecal sludge, is a major challenge as urbanization intensifies globally. And considering that the increasing majority of the population relies on on-site sanitation, stakeholders at this meeting believe sanitation waste management is a critical component for achieving the National Development Plan and Sustainable Development Goals related to water, sanitation, and hygiene.
Njogu Elba, the newly appointed Director General of PURA, welcomed the convergence as timely and paramount in the journey towards improving environmental sanity for sustainable development. He is confident of significant strides with collective efforts.
The management of fecal sludge is...
Therefore, he said the Gambia needs more efforts to improve on the gains made so far. According to Mr. Njai, there is only one wastewater treatment plant in the country located at Kotu, where over 100 septic trucks discharge fecal sludge. Deputizing for the Health Minister, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, Buba Manjang, Director of Health Services, Minister of Health, and Honorable Modu Lamin Bah, National Assembly Member for Banjul North, and Chairperson of the Parliament Select Committee on Health, agreed that more need to be done to ensure proper regulation and compliance.
By regulating the sanitary tanker trucks, we can mitigate the risk associated with the improper handling and disposal of waste and reduce the prevalence of waterborne diseases and other public health concerns.
I was also very surprised with the presentation by one of the directors from PURA, that even when it comes to waste treatment, the entire country, we only have one, and that is the Kotu Pond, which is indeed a very big concern. I am a member of Parliament and from the city, for that matter. The sewage station that we have there is no treatment center. They don't treat anything, and disposal happens. And where does it go? It goes direct to the river, which is a very big concern. But I believe with this regulation, so many problems will be solved at the same time, and it will be able to enhance and also help us see how best we can improve our health system and manage our sanitary situation in the Gambia.
According to health experts, there's a direct relationship between disease and the unregulated discharge of residential sewage. Hence, the need to regulate the current practices in fecal sludge management in the Gambia, rendering major risks to human health and the environment. The outcome of the meeting will help professionalize the subsector by developing standards of operations to protect health, the environment, and promote decent employment. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
We'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more local, international, and sports news stories. Do stay tuned.
Gambia is proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024. The second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture, and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference.
Are you thinking of finishing your house or embarking on a new project and searching for quality, affordable cement? Look no further than Salam Cement, proudly Gambian owned and the first ever cement manufacturing company in the Gambia. With 100% European technology and processes, we bring you quality that's unmatched. From raw materials to final bagging, every step is done right here in the Gambia. And now, in the spirit of Ramadan, get our 32.5-hour cement for just $330 and our 42.5-hour cement for just $370. No more hassle of importing cement because we've got you covered with affordable quality cement made right here in the Gambia. All of these meeting European standard EN 1971. We are located at Mile 5, Denton Bridge, Banjo. For more information, call us at 338-4466, 338-8112 or 797-0866. Ramadan Mubarak.
Welcome back. You're watching QTV Nightly News. The Executive Director of Ghana's National Service Scheme, Osei Asibe Entry, Tuesday called for more support for African youth, particularly in the areas of skills acquisition and entrepreneurship. He was speaking to journalists at the end of a 3-day working visit to the Banjul City Council. And Sumane Sonyasi has more.
The former mayor of Kumasi, now Executive Director of Ghana's National Service Scheme, NSS, was in the country at the invitation of Banjul's Mayor Rohey Lowe. Through her flagship youth scheme, the Youth Volunteerism Project, that seeks to provide skills training opportunities for at least 500 youths in Banjul. Following a visit to some of Rafaela's intervention sites, the NSS boss expressed optimism about the future of Gambian youths, particularly the young people of Banjul. While acknowledging the impact this program will have on selected beneficiaries, he stressed the need for more investment in young people through similar skills acquisition endeavors.
But of late, we have realized that unemployment is becoming a major problem in the whole world. Not only Africa, but the whole world. And therefore, first, our emphasis was white-collar job. But white-collar job cannot sustain everybody. If I talk about white-collar job, I'm talking about employment, somebody employing you. But that space is limited. But the space that can take a lot has to do with the skill training. Because once you acquire the skill, then it means that you have your destiny in your hands.
Mayor Rohey Lowe, while underscoring the significance of skills development among young people, once more reiterates her commitment to empowering Gambian youths. She also spoke highly of the impact the partnership between their respective programs will have on the lives of beneficiaries.
This is a brother that has a vision also, who was once a mayor of Kumasi and now the executive director of the National Youth Service in Ghana. So when I started the youth volunteerism last year, August, I contacted him for him to pave the way or to teach us how we can do better for the advancement of this project.
Mayor Lowe calls on government and development partners to invest more in youth empowerment programs, arguing that it is the surest way to curb crime, irregular migration and youth unemployment, and went on to implore beneficiaries to utilize what she described as life-changing opportunities presented by the project.
Rafaela deemed it very, very important, knowing that in the Gambia, the population is more of youths and women. And this is why we are concentrating more in the empowerment of women and youths.
Meanwhile, on Tuesday afternoon, Mayor Lowe bade farewell to 3 project beneficiaries, Omar Sane, Fatou Wali and Nafi Seka, who were traveling to Nigeria and Senegal for their tailoring, makeup and hairdressing training programs in these respective countries. The beneficiaries expressed gratitude to Mayor Lowe and the project for giving them the opportunity to acquire vocational skills at well-established institutions outside the Gambia. They gave assurances of their preparedness to make best use of the opportunity. The Youth Volunteerism Project is the country's first youth scheme that aims to provide skills training for hundreds of Gambian youths in the Gambia and abroad in tailoring, hairdressing and agriculture, among other skills. I'm Sumane Sonyasi for KTV News.
We will now shift our attention to news outside the country. Having sworn in their youngest ever president 2 days ago, Senegal marks its 64th independence anniversary in a style that has been described as subdued. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye is the 5th president since independence, and in this report, Mamadou Mbodj looks back on the presidencies of the previous 4.
More than 40 years separate the first president, Léopold Sédar Senghor, and Bassirou Diomaye Faye, marking the country out as among the longest uninterrupted democracies in Africa. Elected to the presidency on September 5, 1960, President Senghor, author of the Senegalese national anthem, came to the job at the age of 54, after having distinguished himself as a poet, scholar, and a leading voice in the world philosophical movement known as Negritude, the literary and artistic expression of the Black African experience. According to one analyst, Senghor, as president, tried to modernize Senegal's agriculture, instill a sense of enlightened citizenship, combat corruption and inefficiency, and forge closer ties with his African neighbors and continue cooperation with the French. He established the Socialist Party, the PS, and the multi-party system, as well as a strong educational system. Often referred to as the poet president, Senghor's politics was said to derive from his poetics, seeing culture as a developmental tool, universal and cosmopolitan. He advocated federalism for newly independent African states and spent, according to some sources, about 30% of GDP on culture. He resigned from office before the end of his fifth presidential term in December 1980. Abdou Diouf, his prime minister at that time, replaced him. Born on October 9, 1906, in Joal, Senegal, Léopold Sédar Senghor died on December 20, 2001 in France. Having laid the foundation of post-independent Senegal, Senghor handed over to his protege, Abdou Diouf, who had held various high-profile positions before being appointed prime minister in 1970. His terms as president were shaped by a policy of openness to the multi-party system, the gradual liberalization of the economy, and decentralization. Less of an ideologue than his predecessor, Diouf was a much better and more efficient administrator, according to some analysts. In the Gambia, of course, he is associated more with the Senegambia Confederation. In the March 2000 elections, Diouf was defeated by Wade, thus ending the Socialist Party's 40-year rule of Senegal. Abdou Diouf made one of the seminal gestures in Senegalese democracy when he called Wade to congratulate him on his victory, thus fostering a peaceful transition. After 30 years in politics and 19 in the opposition, Abdoulaye Wade finally became president. He won a second term in 2007, but it was a term that saw the erosion of his popular support in the country, as many were disenchanted by the lack of progress. In 2012, he controversially ran for a third term and lost to Macky Sall, his protege. Sworn into office on April 2, 2012, Macky Sall's 12-year tenure was marked by massive investments in transport and urban infrastructure, notably on the motorway network and international airport, the development of major roads, and the completion of public transport projects. But these investments had not translated into improvements in the lives of Senegalese. And more recently, his handling of the 2024 election has seriously clouded his legacy. Despite the political convulsions over the years, and with Bassirou Diomaye Faye's victory, Senegal could be said to have genuinely created a home for democracy. For QTV News, I'm Mamadou Mbouch.
We now shift our attention to some sports news. The Gambia amputee national football team are in camp at the Independence Stadium ahead of the African Amputee Football Cup of Nations in Cairo, Egypt later this month. Our sports reporter Mamoudou Gajaka visited them at the camp and he now reports.
Intense training ahead of the competition in Egypt, which will be their second appearance at the African Amputee Football Cup of Nations after their first edition in Tanzania in 2021. The Gambian team players say they are ready to face their opponents. Sana F. Kuyate is the team's goalkeeper.
We are feeling so exciting because this is our second participation in this maiden tournament. First, we qualified for the 2021 African Amputee Football Tournament, which was held in Tanzania. And we participated there, and out of 24 countries that participated, we managed to come out 9th position. And currently also, the preparation is on a high gear to represent the country as well. My position in the team, I am the goalkeeper for the football team, and currently we are intensifying our training as goalkeepers so that we can come with the results of the football the tournament, inshallah.
The Gambia government has supported the team with funding for air tickets and participation fee to compete in the tournament. However, there is no allowance for the team. Ibrahima Jallo, a player, said they need support from the public, the private sector, and philanthropists.
If you're going for competition, you need to be encouraged. So we need to have something that will encourage us so that we can be comfortable, we can focus to able to compete. But like going to the competition because they pay the air tickets, you have your participation fee, you go there and participate, start competing. You don't have something that will make you comfortable, something that will stable your mind, thinking about your family because you don't leave nothing behind. So that's so hard, you know.
Despite some of the challenges they're facing, the boys are optimistic that they will perform well in the tournament, which will see them face Ghana, Kenya, and Algeria in the group phase. The team had been camped at the Friendship Hostel for 2 weeks, and they are training twice a day, morning and afternoon. Pasule Job, the team manager, says they are the representative of the Gambia in the competition, and they need support.
We are appealing to philanthropists to come to our aid. It's not easy because amputee football is not known in the Gambia, but we've made history. As I said, this is the second time we're going. This is a back-to-back, which is not a big news in the Gambia. But if you go to our neighboring country in Senegal, you know, they give us that appreciation that, wow, you've managed to qualify twice in AFCON.
African Amputee Football Cup of Nations 2024 is scheduled to kick off from the 18th to the 26th of April. 16 countries will be battling for the top prize in this competition. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. In this revenue mobilization drive, the Commissioner General of the Gambian Revenue Authority has revealed that the GRA has collected more than $5.2 billion in the first quarter of 2024. A validation of the draft curriculum for a doctorate of pharmacy program for the University of Gambia was held on Thursday by the Directorate of the National Pharmaceutical Services. The Gambia Utilities Regulatory Authority, PURA, in partnership with the Ministry of Health, held a forum to develop a regulatory framework on sewage transportation in the Gambia. In international news, having sworn in their youngest ever president 2 days ago, Senegal on Thursday marks its 64th independence anniversary in a style that has been described as subdued. In sports news, the Gambia Amputee national football team are in camp at the Independence Stadium ahead of the African Amputee Football Cup of Nations in Cairo, Egypt later this month. Well, that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.